I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Well, it seems like just yesterday that I was filling in the empty homes tax declarations that arrived in my mailbox, sweating it the whole way, making sure that I didn't miss one, making sure that I got it in on time. And next thing you know, we get another one in the mail here for the BC Spec Tax. And, the reason why it just seemed like yesterday is that one from a couple of weeks ago was the Vancouver Empty Homes Tax. Now here we go with the provincial version of it. The BC Speculation Tax declarations are all due at the end of this month. So I don't know if you guys are like me, and I really would love to hear your opinions on what you guys think. You know how I feel about the Vancouver Empty Homes Tax, but I feel the same way about the BC Spec Tax. I said right from day one, even before it was prior to being introduced, that it wasn't going to do anything. It wasn't going to make homes more affordable. It wasn't going to bring down the cost of rents. It was just a tax grab and just more bureaucracy, more things for us homeowners to sweat over and make sure we fill in on time. The Vancouver Empty Homes Tax one, that one comes in the mail as an invoice. You owe us $32,000 if you don't file by this date. You got to be careful with these things. You got to keep track of them. My wife runs a lot of this stuff for me now. We've got a spreadsheet. We double and triple check it, make sure we don't miss one. This year, like last year, they all didn't come in the mail to me. Some of them get lost, of course. Now I'm in a nice position. I've got a pretty good portfolio, and I'm not just dealing with my principal residence. I've got all my rental properties. Same thing though this year with the BC Spec Tax. They didn't all come in the mail. You lose one or two, and you got to really keep an eye on it and make sure that you file them all. But this little brochure comes in the mail along with your BC Spec Tax here. And I'd like to get your opinion on what you guys think of this. You read this thing and some things just don't add up. I've been saying this all along with the BC Spec Tax and the same thing with the Vancouver Empty Homes Tax. There's some things that just don't seem to add up. Maybe I'm not looking at this the proper way. Maybe I'm misreading some of this stuff. I'd like to hear your comments on this as well. But this pamphlet comes in the mail, and right on the front page here, it says that more than 99% of British Columbians are exempt. More than 99%. So that means that somewhere between, 99.5 and 100% are not paying, or not having to pay this spec tax. So my first question would be, if over 99% are exempt, then why are we doing it? Why are we submitting people to not only a Vancouver Empty Homes Tax, but then a BC Spec Tax for the rest of the province? This would be something that I could understand if 25% of British Columbians had an empty home and were paying the tax, and it's probably worth it. They'd be raking in hundreds of billions of dollars, or hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions. But it's over 99% are exempt. And I'm not sure how much this program is costing. It's got to be in the tens of millions of dollars to mail these out to every homeowner in the province, along with all the literature that accompanies it. Over 99% are exempt from this. But let's open it up here a little bit and have a look at what the BC speculation tax is doing and what it was meant for. So it helps turn empty units into homes for people, including 18,000 condos in Metro Vancouver. And this is according to the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC. 18,000 condos have been converted into homes. So there was 18,000 empty condos. I said right from day one, it was a higher amount than that when they first introduced this 3 years ago. They had said, I think in downtown Vancouver, they said there was over 10,000 condos downtown in Vancouver. And how did they arrive at that? Because you can't. There is no way to really arrive at how many empty homes there were. Their information based on those empty homes was to go down to Cole Harbour at 7 p.m. on a January night and saw that there was a lot of lights not currently on in a lot of the towers. So they must be empty. They're just vacant, which was nuts. So my first question on this, 18,000 condos in Metro Vancouver. Where did they arrive at this 18,000? I find that to be wildly over-exaggerated. I don't even think it's a fraction of that amount. And how would CMHC know anything about what's going on in Vancouver? CMHC is in Ottawa. They provide default insurance on high ratio mortgages. How would they know how many empty condos are sitting in downtown Vancouver? Can somebody tell me? I don't know. Where do they get this? And they're pretty quick to point out, you'd think this would be data based from the city of Vancouver or the province. They would be coming up with these hard numbers, but instead they're putting it on CMHC. I don't know how they would know these numbers. They don't. But maybe someone can enlighten me on this, how this 18,000 came about. Now, if there was 18,000 empty condos that were put into the market, either they were sold or put into the rental pool, then we would see a much different market than we do today. We would not have real estate prices, condos downtown now hitting all-time record prices, which I'm going to do more blogs as we go into the spring. We are in a crazy seller's market right now. I'm setting new records on all my downtown listings pretty much. We would also have a much more favorable rental market for tenants, which again, we don't. The rental market right now is berserk. The vacancy is near zero and rental rates have been skyrocketing here. We've had a huge surge the last 12 months in rental prices. And I'll do more blogs on this going into the spring as well. If you go onto Craigslist now, I have never seen, in the beginning of the month, I have never seen so few units for rent now ever in the downtown core or Mount Pleasant or Fairview or Kitsilano. You're looking now at $2,400 to rent a basic 600 square foot one bed in a 10-year-old concrete high rise in Yaletown, let's say. Up substantially from what it was pre-COVID. 18,000 homes doesn't make any sense to me. And where are they getting these numbers from? Is it going down to Cole Harbour and they saw that there was some units that were dark? Next thing it does, discourages real estate speculation that inflates prices. It hasn't worked then, because we're at the hottest market I've ever seen, and I've been in this business over 30 years. A sales to active listings ratio of over 50 on condos right now. And crazy bidding wars, and one bedroom selling at $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 over asking price. I've said all along that there is no speculation going on in the greater Vancouver market for the most part. Maybe the odd little bit, but when you have the biggest tax grab known to man, known as the PTT, property transfer tax, which has never been adjusted after over 30 years. It was introduced in the 80s as a wealth tax, and it's never been adjusted for the increased housing prices or inflation for that matter. So speculation with the PTT, the GST, maybe double dipping on the GST if you try and flip a pre-sale, the capital gains tax, and everything else that goes with it, it doesn't make much sense to be flipping properties. So there's not much speculation, very little going on in this market to begin with. I've often said, you buy a one-bedroom condo for $700K, you need that condo to go up $50,000 just to break even on your friction costs. And we've already got the biggest deterrent to speculation. It's called capital gains tax. If you list and sell a home 2 or 3 years later, you're going to pay capital gains tax on that, 50% of the gain at your marginal tax rate. Or if you're trying to flip a pre-sale, you're going to get hit first off on a double dip on the GST. CRA is double dipping on that. I've done lots of blogs on it. You pay the 5% GST, and if you sell in less than a year, maybe even 13 or 14 months, chances are that sale will get audited, and either the seller will have to pay the GST a second time or the buyer will be on the hook for it. It depends on how the contract is written. Or Revenue Canada in the last 3 or 4 years has come down even harder on speculators. If you sell, say for instance, 2 homes in the span of 3 or 4 years, again, you will get audited on that second sale. They're going to come back, have a look at the sale, and they're going to say, if they might decide that you are not a homeowner who is selling homes to move, you are a speculator. And instead of giving you the capital gains tax rate, the more favorable rate, you are going to be taxed on that sale at your full marginal tax rate. And this is happening all the time for people who are speculators or serial flippers. They're not even getting the advantage of the capital gains tax exemption. They're getting taxed at their full marginal rate here. Revenue from the taxes is going to go to affordable housing. Okay, well, I don't know how many homes that they've built here. They said they're going to deliver 114,000 affordable homes over the next 10 years. That's a lot of homes, 114,000. Maybe someone can tell me on how they're doing on that so far. Over 99% of British Columbians are exempt from this tax. So my question is, well, how much money could we possibly be bringing in? This program must, last I had saw, I think the Vancouver Empty Homes Tax was over $10 million to run this program. This would be much more because it's for the entire province, far bigger. So once you back out the cost to run this, how much money, how much net proceeds are going into the BC Spec Tax? I don't know. I didn't bother looking it up. Maybe someone can find out. I did a quick little search and I couldn't find anything on it. But what is the amount? When they introduced this, they said it was going to be hundreds of millions of dollars. It was going to bring prices down as far as resale prices go. And it was going to bring down rental rates. It hasn't done anything, any of that. It's made it worse. So what am I missing here with this BC Spec Tax? Why are we doing this? You know, what it did, if you remember, I did a blog about 2 years ago. There was a bunch of articles in the Globe and Mail, Vancouver Sun, and the Province on a whole bunch of people that got caught in this BC Spec Tax. These were people that were born and raised in Vancouver. They had moved to they had a story of a lady that had moved down to just outside Washington, D.C., or in Delaware or something. Kept a condo in Steveston, in Richmond, and now got hit with this BC Spec Tax. Her and her family were using this condo on a regular basis. They would come up in the summer for 6 weeks. They would come up in the winter. They would have their kids would come up a week here, a week there. They wanted a footprint here, have a foothold still in Vancouver. The problem was they got hit with the spec tax, but the strata did not allow them to rent. They didn't really want to sell it, but they couldn't rent because the strata doesn't allow rentals, and that's still ongoing. There's still thousands of cases with this BC spec tax where it's in limbo because they don't really want to sell it and they rent it, but they can't rent it because the strata won't let them rent it. And I don't know how that's going to go. I think it's still moving along and they keep giving these guys extensions on it. But there was also the story about a guy who was living in California, born and raised in Vancouver, him and his family. He took a job in California, had a small one-bedroom in Cole Harbour. They came up all the time. The kids used the condo, came up to, in the wintertime, would go up to Whistler. The bottom line was he was saying that he was spending probably easily $20,000 to $30,000 every year he was putting into the local Vancouver economy. He kept a car up here, he had insurance, you know, he bought furniture for the unit, he was going out for dinners, entertainment, putting money into the economy. And he was forced to sell because he didn't want to pay. Who wants to pay the tax? He wasn't living here full time. Left a bad taste in his mouth, and I don't blame him. It wouldn't for me as well. So here we are, over 99% are exempt from this. And you've kicked out a whole bunch of people that had roots here in BC and in Vancouver that they couldn't keep a second home. For what? We're not bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars in this. I don't think we're going to build 114,000 new homes. We haven't done anything about curbing speculation, bringing prices down. They're at all-time highs. We haven't done anything about bringing rental rates down. Those are at all-time highs. And again, we've already got a speculation tax in place. It's called capital gains or full marginal tax rate if you start flipping properties up here. Plus the friction costs alone are deterring anyone from getting into speculation here. I don't know. What am I missing? You guys give me your opinion on this as well, on the BC spec tax. It's right up there with the Vancouver Empty Homes Tax. Same thing. How much money is it really bringing in? They overestimated how many homes were empty in the city. If they did, we should see some results from this. We should have seen prices moderate. We should have seen rents come down. But instead, they're skyrocketing up here. And this is what socialist governments do. They tax you to death. They stifle you at every angle. They never have anything constructive. Any constructive ideas to help build this city and build this province. Instead, it's ways to push you down, taxes, more restrictions, more bureaucracy, having to file all these things. And I don't think it's effective. That's just my opinion. I'd love to hear your comments on the BC spec tax and the Vancouver Empty Homes Tax. Do you think it's working? Do you think it's bringing in the revenue they said they would? Do you think it's curbing speculation? Do you think it's putting more homes in the market for tenants and renters? I don't see any of it. And I'd like to know what the net income from this program is doing after you back out all the costs to manage the program. Not to mention all the bad press we got and the bad blood we created from a lot of born and bred Vancouverites and people living in BC that wanted to keep a second home here. Is that so wrong? To have a second home up here that they can go and visit? That was the main cause of our prices here. It had nothing to do with it. But this is what, again, socialism looks like. Their answer is taxes, and they put these programs out to make it look like they're doing something here. This sounded awfully good to a lot of people 3 years ago. Those are the ones I'd like to hear your comments on this. It sounded like a good idea. I said all along it wasn't, and it wasn't going to work because it was all based on smoke and mirrors. But that's what they do here. They put these taxes out, the empty homes tax, the spec tax, the foreign buyers tax, which again, nobody pays either. Foreign buyers were a myth. The only body buying homes prior to the foreign buyers tax were waiting to get their PR status. Go back and watch my blogs from 3 or 4 years ago on that. I think everything I put out here on this is aged quite well over the years. It's come to fruition here from what I was saying 3 years ago. But you guys let me know as well. I live with it. I'm used to it now. I've got a software program now that I enter all these things in, make sure that I don't miss one, double check, print off the receipts, because you got to have that. Make sure you get that verification number that it's been accepted. And I'm also just waiting any day now on the phone call, either from the city of Vancouver or from the province to do an audit. Because I own a lot of properties. I've been talking to a lot of my larger investors. Several of them have had the call. It's only a matter of time for me. If it's not this year, it'll be next year, where they're going to call me and ask me a whole pile of questions, guilty until proven innocent. I've got nothing to hide, of course. I either live in the home, my principal residence, or I've got my tenants in there. So no problem, but it'll be another hoop and hurdle to go through, a hassle. I'll be considered guilty until proven innocent, but that's the world we're living in now. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.